Welcome to your favorite bookish podcast, Fully Booked and Caffeinated. I'm Kelsey.
And I'm Heather.
And today we will be discussing and reviewing Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. That's a mouthful. As usual, let's talk about our fuel for this discussion. What are you drinking, Heather?
I have a nice, fresh Dr. P.
Ooh,
yeah.
Okay.
I went to Acme real quick before we recorded, and I got one from like one of the coolers.
Mm-hmm. They get me every time.
Every time. And they were 2 for $4, so I got Eric a Coca-Cola, and I got myself a Dr. Pepper.
There you go. That sounds nice.
Mm-hmm.
Tell everyone about your coffee debacle.
How I had a happy surprise this morning of 2 coffees.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the Dunkin' app malfunctioned with the connectivity, and I didn't think my first order went through when in fact it did. So I pull up to the drive-thru, and I was like, order for Heather, and they're like, you have 2 coffees, is that right? I was like, yep, sure is.
So Dunkin' tricked you.
Just give them to me. Give them both to me. It's not like I won't drink them, and I did in fact drink 2 large cold brews today.
As you had to. You had no choice.
I know. Also, did you know, Eric said it to me today, this is our 100th episode.
I have it in my notes. It is.
Yeah.
So, yes, this is our 100th episode, which is so crazy because I just cannot believe that, other people listen to us talk about books.
I know.
But then, so today I got my hair done. I was at the hair salon and we were all talking about books, just all of us the whole time. And then that happened when we went to that bridal shower and just we were talking about books with everyone. So I'm like, oh, I guess I do believe that we have a podcast where we talk about books because we never shut the fuck up about books.
True.
So yeah, that's so exciting.
I know. And I was like, and I thought it was funny that Eric was keeping track of that.
Yeah. I literally had to put it in my notes the last time I edited so that I would remember.
I know, because I was like, oh, I have to remember. And then I forgot. And then Eric brought it up and I was like, oh my God, I told myself to remember and I still forgot.
The MVP, Eric.
Literally. Anyways, what are you drinking?
Well, I have water in my new Frost Buddy, but yesterday, so the reason I got a Frost Buddy, because I'm a Yeti girl, but I got a Frost Buddy because I was influenced on TikTok because the girl put her venti Starbucks iced coffee into the Frost Buddy, like the plastic cup into the Frost Buddy, and it keeps it cold. And so I was like, oh, I must have this. Because, yes, I have a Java sock that doesn't keep it cold. That just keeps my hands dry. And you can't pour my venti blonde latte iced with the syrups into my Yeti because then, the syrups don't transfer. It doesn't taste the same. It's not mixed properly. So I'd been looking for a solution. And then TikTok was like, oh, Kelsey, you were thinking about this? Here you go. Here's an ad. And I was like, okay. And then they're like, here's a coupon. It expires right now. And I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. So all that to say, I ordered a Frost Buddy and I love it.
That's awesome.
It's so cute. I got the ice cream melting one. They also have a mint chocolate chip ice cream one.
Oh.
But it doesn't come in the 40 ounce. This one, look, it has this little slot for a chapstick and it has a hole here so you could clip your keys on it.
Oh my God. That's an all-in-one.
I know, that's what the TikTok girl is doing, but I literally just got it so that
for the drink.
Yeah. So yesterday when I drove to the beach, stopped at Starbucks, put it in my Frost Buddy, and it was perfect.
That's
amazing. And it had a little handle and everything.
Love to hear it.
So yeah, cheers.
Cheers.
And we learned from this book that even vampires drink coffee as long as it's mixed with blood.
Right?
All right, so V.E. Schwab, a.k.a. Victoria Elizabeth Schwab, which sounds so royal, right?
Mm-hmm.
She had originally planned on studying astrophysics in college, but she switched directions when she started taking art and literature classes, which is truly a wild redirection.
That's a crazy 180.
Yeah. She probably was like, wow, astrophysics is hard, and I like literature. Her website says she got her master's in depictions of monstrosity in medieval art.
Okay.
So I looked this up because I'm like, this is not real. They do have these classes at University of Edinburgh. I'm definitely saying that wrong.
Edinburgh, I think it is.
Yeah, I think so. They have classes like this. I didn't see anything where you could like have it as a major. So she probably majored in literature and then like took a bunch of classes. Yeah, so it's pretty cool. She sold her first book to Disney, like Walt Disney, not himself, but not literally him.
She went back in time.
Yeah.
She's in fact a vampire.
She would have kicked him in the nuts because, you know, he sucks. But anyway, she sold her first book to Disney before she even graduated college. And it was published in 2011. Her only short story was actually made into a Netflix series, which she was the creator and executive producer of. And she wrote a few of the episodes. So she was like very involved. I never even knew all of this.
What was the show? Oh, wait, First Kill, is that the lesbian vampire one? Yeah. I didn't know that was hers.
Yes, First Kill on Netflix. So
it was
was one of her, the only short story she's written. I've never seen it. You watched it?
No, but it's like people are obsessed with it and they were upset because it only got the one season. Or did it have two? It had 2 seasons, I think. But maybe it was only 1.
Well, that's the problem with Netflix is that
it was like kind of like
shows.
It was kind of like a Netflix cult classic for
she's also the host of a podcast and it's called No Right Way, but like right, WR.
Oh, I didn't know she had a podcast either.
Yeah, since 2023, which I also started following today. I didn't listen to any of it yet.
I know, now I gotta follow it. WTF.
Here's a little blurb from her website, which I just love. VE is the author of more than 25 books spanning MG, YA, and adult. Though she's never been keen on labeling stories for a certain audience, she believes the best story is the one that finds you when you need it. Her greatest goal as an author is to make you doubt your reality, not by convincing you that magic is real, but by planting a seed of doubt that it's not. I like that.
Yeah.
I also listened to another podcast where she was interviewed by some guy. It wasn't that good of an episode, so I'm not going to drop it, but I listened so no one else has to. And here's a few important points that I took away from it. First of all, she writes her stories from the end backwards.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? She also has self-proclaimed anxiety, which like who among us? And so she takes a 1.5 years minimum to plan out her stories before she even starts writing them. Otherwise she feels untethered.
Wow.
Yeah. She speaks a lot about imperfection and how she feels like she's such a perfectionist. She feels like no book is ever good enough. Like she never feels like they're finished, but
yeah,
she decided that she had to make the choice between them sitting in her head unread or being imperfect on the page, which I love.
Yeah, me too.
And even after her success, she still doesn't think she deserves it. She wants to be on a farm in Scotland raising goats. Addie LaRue actually took her 10 years to write.
I believe it.
Mm-hmm.
No, I believe it.
And she realized she could never put herself through that again, so Midnight Soil took a lot less time. And she also, on this podcast, talked a lot about how she wrote male protagonists for a while because after studying literature and being a reader herself, male characters always got the most interesting stories. They always had the most interesting arcs, whereas the women always had to like die for a cause or they could never be the heroes. And she didn't realize that she could write that way about women and have people like it or understand it.
Yeah.
And so now she's obviously very determined to write female characters in that way because of the representation. So this book specifically was just published in 2025, June 2025. So not many stats on here yet, but it was a Book of the Month Club pick from June, which is where we both got it. And I'm going to read the book summary from the inside cover of my book because I love it. This is a story about hunger. 1532, Santo Domingo de la Calzada. A young girl grows up wild and wily. Her beauty is only outmatched by her dreams of escape. But Maria knows she can only ever be a prize or a pawn in the games played by men. When a luring stranger offers an alternate path, Maria makes a desperate choice. She vows to have no regrets. This is a story about love. 1827 London. A young woman lives an idyllic but cloistered life on her family's estate until a moment of forbidden intimacy sees her shipped off to London. Charlotte's tender heart and seemingly impossible wishes are swept away by an invitation from a beautiful widow, but the price of freedom is higher than she could have imagined. This is a story about rage. 2019, Boston. College was supposed to be her chance to be someone new. That's why Alice moved halfway across the world, leaving her old life behind. But after an out-of-character one-night stand leaves her questioning her past, her present, and her future, Alice throws herself into the hunt for answers and revenge. This is a story about life, how it ends and how it starts. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
After I read that, I was like, oh. Because I only picked this book because you're like, hey, V. Schwab has a new book, and it's a sapphic vampire novel. And I was like, oh, cool, add to cart, love, I'm here. And then I finally read the blurb and I was like, oh, still love. Let's do it. All right. So we start out with Maria, a young girl. She's about 20 and she is very manipulative and very strong. She kind of tricks a rich man to ask her to marry him. And she thinks that she's going to be able to control him and have a little bit of freedom in this life. But she is dead wrong.
Dead wrong.
Andres is a viscount and he only sees her as a vessel for a child. Literally.
Mm-hmm.
It's giving the beginning of Game of Thrones before Daenerys and Aquaman fell in love. I don't remember his name in Game of Thrones.
I don't remember his name in Game of Thrones either. Wasn't it like Dothraki or something like that? No.
He was a Dothraki.
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't matter. Everyone knows who we mean.
Mm-hmm.
We find out that Maria prefers the company of women because she had a cute little crush on her maid, Isabel.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, Andres sucks. And she has to go and live with his parents while Andres is off, like, fighting or doing whatever he does. Like, we really don't know. So she meets a widow who she actually met 10 years ago, and the woman hadn't aged a day. And she owns an apothecary. So Maria starts spending a lot of time with her for several reasons. One, because she likes women. Two, because she's bored out of her fucking mind.
Mm-hmm.
And three, because she's always been drawn to tinctures and potions.
Yes.
So Sabine, the widow, starts teaching her how to make tonics and to read until one day she convinces Maria that she needs to be free. And Maria takes that as them murdering her husband. But Sabine has other ideas. So Sabine bites her neck, turning her into some type of vampire, and Maria goes feral and drinks Sabine dry and goes home, kills her husband and his parents, and now she has superhuman strength and has changed her own name to Sabine, so she burns her husband's house down and flees.
It escalated very, very quickly.
So quickly. We're at page 100 before we get any type of horror or vampire activity.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's pretty much nonstop.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I truly wouldn't be able to do a death count for this book, even if I tried.
No.
It's
absolutely
a gazillion. Not. So 10 years later, still a pretty brand new vampire, Sabine stumbles upon a male and female vampire and tags along with them so they can teach her the rules because her creator didn't teach her.
And she just stays silent on the fact that, like, she killed her.
Yeah. She's like, why didn't your creator teach you? And she's like, I don't know.
Like, I don't know. She just made me and went bye-bye.
So here's a little list. It's actually a long list of all the things that we learn about these vampires. Because as we know, vampires are written in so many different medias. And they all have, like, some similarities, but are each their own.
Mm-hmm.
So they get weak, ill, and feverish in the sun. They cannot stomach normal food. They can read thoughts and moods, and even as they age, they can start to bend other people's wills. They're never full, no matter how much blood they drink. Fresh blood from a human is more satisfying than, as Sabine calls it, decanted blood.
Mm-hmm.
They have no pulse, and they don't breathe. They cannot go somewhere they are not invited, which is like the most common lore, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
They cannot walk through a cemetery because the dead calls to the dead and pulls them down to the earth.
I love that one.
This one's my favorite, for sure. Just the way that she describes it is so, like, sounds like typical vampire, but it's much more detailed.
Mm-hmm.
Vampires cannot break a promise. They're immortal, but they can lose their morality.
Mm-hmm.
And they can only be killed by their heart being killed, either by fire or stabbing. So she sticks with this vampire couple as a threesome for a while, and then tensions begin to rise because three's a crowd, as we know. And Renata, the female vampire, tricks Sabine into promising to stay. And there's that vampire thing that they can't break promises.
Mm-hmm.
But she's set free when Renata and Hector, is his name Hector?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are caught by the villagers and burned alive. Basically, we can't get into every single person that Sabine meets, but Hector gets a little too big for his britches and starts killing priests and shit, and then the villagers are like, not on our watch. So she's able to escape, and then she's alone for a while. Then she meets another couple consisting of a male vampire who taught her mind control and space control.
Mm-hmm.
But he had a human partner, and it upset her so much to not only see him die, but to see how her vampire friend handled that death, and how Sabine does not like to be confronted with emotion.
No, absolutely
at
not.
all. So when she saw him sad, she was like, I get it, but like, that's enough. And she was just very insensitive.
Oh, yeah.
But they eventually go their separate ways, and she did learn a lot of things from him. Like I said, the mind control, the space control. She also pursues her meals a little longer, whereas before she was just killing all willy-nilly.
Yeah, ravenous.
Which she still kind of is, but she's more careful so that she can stay in the same place for longer and kind of like make a life for a little longer.
And I like the idea of like the game, like kind of making it more interesting.
Yeah, so he taught her that she can be patient, and that the game and the chase and the delay makes it more gratifying.
More satisfying, yeah.
And he kind of asked her one time, like, doesn't it upset you to be with them for longer and like make this relationship with them? And she's like, no, that makes it even better. It's like, Sabine's a little twisted.
She's very twisted.
So now most of her meals she pursues a little longer, especially if she wants to stay in one place for a while. So life continues for X number of years. And finally she sees a young girl, 18, but she seems much younger, who changes her outlook. Charlotte. And Charlotte is so desperate to be free, and also a closeted lesbian, duh. So what originally started as a hunt turns into a relationship. And Sabine turns Charlotte into a vampire, and they start to travel together. And for the most part, things are good. But we can see that Sabine is starting to lose her humanity a little bit, and it is affecting Charlotte. Meanwhile, in present day, we have Alice, who has a drunken one-night stand and wakes up with a wicked hangover. Wicked, because she's in Boston.
Oh, look at you.
And turns out she's a vampire too, but she's having blackouts, which are never explained. Why is she having blackouts? Who could know? And we keep getting flashbacks of her sister, who she was very close with when they were younger, but obviously something's going on with the sister. She's either out of touch or dead or something. We don't know exactly what, but we get so many flashbacks of their relationship. So Alice goes to track down her one-night stand and find out why the fuck she killed her, because obviously that's how she sees it.
Yes.
And with the help of a fellow vampire who is running a coffee shop, which is a front for psychics, vampires, and as he says, angels and demons.
I loved Ezra.
I love Ezra. We didn't get enough Ezra.
No,
at all.
I wish we had more of him.
So they find Lottie, and we realize that Lottie is none other than our Charlotte. So Lottie tells the story from her point of view when she met Sabine and how she fell in love with Sabine, and when she was going to be forced to marry a young boy, Sabine saves her by changing her. And things are going great, but slowly Charlotte is beginning to grow scared of Sabine, who is extremely protective and extremely territorial. And they spend so much time, just the two of them. And one time they're just laying in bed and Charlotte's like, hey, are there others like us? And Sabine is like, what, I'm not enough for you? And like, Charlotte realizes real quick not to ask that again.
Mm-hmm.
But she longs for others like them because even though she loves Sabine, it is so lonely. She used to be surrounded by people.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, Sabine is just insanely jealous. So on their 100-year anniversary, they meet two others and party with them. But Sabine is a real bitch, as like usual, and just freaks out about the whole thing. Charlotte says she'll never leave her again. Luckily, she doesn't promise. She just says it. But Sabine is getting worse and her humanity is slipping. And she has these like episodes almost where Charlotte doesn't even recognize her. Like she says the light kind of goes out of her eyes and she's more animalistic and not the Sabine that Charlotte fell in love with. And this surprised me. Charlotte actually tries to kill her.
Mm-hmm.
But she had promised, 50 years ago that she would never hurt Sabine. And so she can't break that promise. And like, she's just there with the stake to Sabine's chest. And Sabine wakes up and is like, hey, girl. And I'm like, Charlotte, what are you doing?
Know.
Get the fuck out of there. So finally, Charlotte escapes with the help of these two new friends, but she spends the next few decades running from Sabine. And she knows that she'll never truly be free.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of things happen while she's still in Europe. And then eventually she gets in contact with Ezra and she goes over to America because Sabine always said that she never wanted to go to America. So Charlotte is like, maybe this will deter her a little bit. And basically every woman that Charlotte ever gets involved with or grows to love gets killed by Sabine, even the one that Charlotte had turned into a vampire. And she's so heartbroken by this. But she calls Ezra and she's like, hey, another one bites the dust. And he's like, girl, stop.
I know.
Like, stop having girlfriends. What the fuck is that? And she's like, but I'm lonely. And he's like, do you want all these women to keep dying? Like, what is the matter with you?
Mm-hmm.
And the whole thing is Charlotte is so different from Sabine in the way that she feels guilt for every kill.
Yes.
Like it really weighs on her. And a lot of these women that she was in relationships with knew what she was. And they would let her feed off of them when she needed a little fix. She would still go out hunting and everything, but she would try to only hunt. She would try to like Dexter it and only hunt men who were pieces of shit.
Mm-hmm.
And, while Charlotte and Sabine were together, the fact that Charlotte still felt guilty drove Sabine crazy. Because first of all, she never felt guilty. Not a day in her life. And it's that emotion that she just hates. Like even this book takes us through 2 world wars and Charlotte is like sad because, everyone's dying. And Sabine is like, you are exhausting. Like, what is the matter with you? And I'm like, girl. Anyway, so then Charlotte makes the decision that she just needs to one night stand women, even though she is lonely and she wants to have a partner. And that's obviously what she misses about Sabine because that was her partner and they always did things together. But the Sabine she left was not the one she fell in love with. And Sabine has tired of the chase after who knows how many years. I mean, a lot of years. So Alice is like, I guess, blackout drunk and sleeps with Lottie, and then Lottie leaves and Sabine comes in after and turns her.
Yeah.
That part was a little fuzzy, but that's because Alice doesn't remember anything. So Sabine has turned Alice, and that's what takes us to present day. And Alice is pissed. Obviously, because she's become a pawn in this game between this like very powerful vampire and then Lottie, who's like begging for understanding and trying to like humanize herself to Alice and get her to understand. And Alice was just pissed because times are different now and she has a whole life ahead of her. Like she's not facing some awful marriage proposal like the other two women were. She's in college. She's finally like out on her own. And because of this relationship that she had with her sister, which we get in kind of, you know, these little flashbacks, there's this weird thing about her sister wanting to live some grand life and wanting to escape and hating their upbringing because their mom died and then their dad remarried and then they had another sibling, and she just can never accept their new life. And Alice, who's a few years younger than her, was always kind of following in her footsteps and not wanting to make her upset, but also wanting to like accept her life. And it was a very complicated thing. And Alice was stuck in the middle. And so when Alice goes to America to go to school, she kind of feels like she's living out her sister's dream in that way by having that freedom that her sister Caddy always wanted.
Yeah.
But anywho, Lottie tells Alice that in order to go back to her life and be alive again, she has to kill her maker. And Alice agrees because she wants her life back. And we get a final flashback to Caddy and find out that she had run away from home and Alice was so upset that she didn't wait for her. And, you know, Caddy would call once in a while and say like, oh, I'm traveling here. Oh, I'm seeing all these sights. Oh, I'm living my dream. And then we find out that Caddy actually died by suicide and jumped in front of a moving car.
Yeah.
And she had been lying to Alice all those years and saying she was out traveling the world and having this amazing time because that was the future she wanted for herself, obviously. And I don't think she obviously didn't want to go back home, but she also didn't want to admit that she was defeated in that way.
No, she was very prideful. And like she was so against this new relationship that her you know, their dad got involved in, and she very much felt like he was replacing the mom, and she just couldn't look past that. Whereas like Alice didn't really remember the mom because she was so little, and even she just couldn't really understand like where Caddy was coming from.
Yeah, and Caddy was very selfish.
Very selfish.
Because of that pride, she would stay away and let her family be worrying about her and missing her and all this stuff because she wouldn't admit to them that she had to come home, you know?
No, and it's kind of like you said, like she was a pawn in like Charlotte and Sabine's game, but she was also a pawn in like Caddy's life.
100%, because she felt herself so caught in the middle. And like you said, she didn't remember the mom, but also she liked Elle.
Yeah.
And Elle was a mother to her. And, you know, she says, whenever I was sick, Elle knew what to do. Whenever I needed something, I talked to Elle, and I felt guilty about it because I knew that Caddy would be upset. And then,
which like just sucks in general.
100%.
You know, like you're making this poor young girl feel guilty for having a relationship with someone. And it's just like Caddy like definitely held Alice to like this standard that Alice was never going to reach, you know, and it was just very, like you said, she was just very selfish and like self-centered and only had to be in control. Like she was very much like Sabine, like just had to be like in control of the situation.
And Alice had to constantly lie to her to keep her happy, like say that she remembered their mom even though she was only 5 when she died, and say that, you know, she wasn't excited about having a new little brother. But then we get this little scene where, you know, she feels pulled to her little brother, like that's her family. And it was just very unfair of Caddy, obviously, because Alice, not only did Alice want her sister to be happy with her and she like looked up to her older sister, but she also didn't want Caddy to be alone. So it's like she didn't want her to be all pissed off on her own and then they have this happy family and Caddy's just on the outskirts. So it was just a very fucked up dynamic. And then it makes more sense why she kind of wanted to get out and live the life that Caddy never got to live.
Yeah, because they're like in kind of like a, you know, podunk town and everything. And she could have gone to the universities like Oxford or any of them that were in Europe, but like on a whim, she applied to Harvard and she got in. And even like the dad was kind of like, no, like you have to go. Like, you know, you need to, she like wants to finally like live her life for herself, and then she gets the opportunity and then this happens. But I will say, I felt like in the beginning, especially, she still wasn't living her life. She was still very much like a wallflower and felt awkward and really wasn't truly like living her life. So
yeah, she called herself a barnacle because she would just be like,
and she called herself like old Alice and new Alice, and just.
And she did like force herself to go to these parties because she knew that she had to do something, but she'd always been in Caddy's shadow. And then when she goes to college, it's like, she's not just all of a sudden going to be this different person. Yeah. So she does kind of have to like psych herself up. And that's why she ends up having this one night stand. And so she kind of feels
her life.
Yeah, exactly. So she like, feels like betrayed.
I finally take a chance and look what the fuck happened.
Yeah. So this newfound confidence has betrayed her because she's like, I could have just gone home like I wanted to do, but no, I went and saw this girl and then I had to hook up with her. But anyway, so back to the present, and Sabine finds Alice in a club because they were basically baiting her.
Yeah.
And Alice blacks out yet again. I don't know. Why is she blacking out?
Maybe it's some kind of mind control that Sabine has over her. Because if she blacked out during, it could have been possible that Sabine was kind of like, that was my assumption, that Sabine was kind of putting a veil over certain situations so that Alice wouldn't know what was going on.
I agree with that. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, that was kind of where my thought process was
going.
I'm
like, what the hell is the matter with this girl? If it's not like we got,
because then she like kind of remembers bits and pieces of being turned by Sabine. So I just think that she kind of, it's all a haze because Sabine made it that way.
Yeah, like an illusion. Because like she got flashbacks of her as a kid having blackouts.
And Sabine is like so old now, so like I'm sure that she's
so powerful.
She's very powerful.
Which, speaking of, leads me to the next part. Okay, so Alice blacks out, but then she finds herself back at Sabine's house, and she tries to poison her with blood that's tainted. The decanted blood that has ashes from
her like locket.
From her locket, which was from her mom and Caddy's grave. Sabine don't fall for that shit. And then she sees that Sabine is literally wearing a chainmail dress so that she can't be stabbed, which is brilliant, obviously, for a vampire. Okay. But Alice has tricks up her sleeve. She did go to Harvard. So she lures Sabine into a sexy shower and stabs her. Immediately, very anticlimactic.
Yes.
And then Sabine just dies. We'll get back to this. Then Alice is like, okay, cool, that's done. Easy peasy. She just waits patiently to go back to normal. Nothing's happening. And then, surprise, Lottie's here. And Lottie lied to her. But she shows up to make sure Sabine is dead. And Alice kills her too. This book is 540 pages. These deaths were a total of 2 pages. What the fuck was that?
I know. I didn't love the ending, but I still loved the book.
But like Sabine would never go out that easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I think it was kind of like
she would have put a chain shell over her heart within her body.
Yeah, and I also was kind of like, is she really that
stupid to follow her into the shower? Like
that,
lustful?
And like, that was what I was just gonna say. Like, is Alice that lustful of like a female? Because I don't think so. Because just knowing who Alice is or like was as a human, she wasn't good with like picking up women. It seems. So how did she turn her wiles onto Sabine? It was just.
I mean, Sabine can get caught by a pretty lady, but she
not
should
to
know
that.
They're going to trap her.
Yeah, it's not to that extent. And then, like, the whole twist of... I did like the twist of Lottie lying.
Mm-hmm.
Because she just really needed Alice's cooperation. So that was very fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
And so I could understand Alice's, like, hesitation and, like, not wanting to... Because then Lottie drinks the poison
mm-hmm.
blood, and then she's, like, kind of fucked. Alice is kind of, like, you can see that she's kind of met with this dilemma of, like, what do I do? And then she ultimately does decide to, like, kill her, which was interesting. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, so the hairbrush in her bag, was that meant to be a weapon, or was it just a hairbrush that she turned into a weapon? Because the way she said it, she's like, oh, I saw it in her bag, made it seem like Lottie was carrying it for that reason, but it was just a hairbrush. So,
yeah.
I don't know. There was a little bit kind of left up to interpretation. I understood why she killed Lottie for sure, because I'd be pissed too. But
it was just kind of like crazy, because I feel like it also didn't... It didn't fit with the caricature of who Alice was. Like, you wouldn't expect Alice to be, like, this vengeful, murderous person at the end of the book.
Yeah, she was just completely driven by rage.
Yeah. Which I guess I get at an extent as well, because her life kind of hasn't gone the way that she has wanted it to in, like, so many aspects. So when the power shifts to her hand, she does what she has to do.
Mm-hmm. All right, so... who is the real villain of this story?
The real villain?
Yeah.
I still think it's Sabine.
I agree, but I mean, obviously it's more complex than that, because Sabine was the way she was when she was turned.
Mm-hmm.
But, you're made to feel so bad for Lottie, and then we see that she's also losing her humanity. And, the whole time we're supposed to feel like she's a victim of Sabine, but then towards the end, the way that she's just disposing of women and the way that she tricked Alice and kind of risked her life, because she didn't think that Alice was actually going to be able to kill Sabine.
Yeah.
So she's kind of losing a little bit of that humanity that made her Charlotte.
But I think that that's at Sabine's hand.
Yes, agree.
I think that she kind of got screwed because she didn't know about the promise, and then when she made the promise, she realized that now she was kind of attached to Sabine for the rest of her life. And so I guess I can't say that I blame her for kind of like losing her mind a little bit and her humanity, because she tries to get away. She thinks that every time that she's escaped, Sabine just kind of pops up and is like, haha, joke's on you. Mm-hmm. And then she just keeps killing the women that Charlotte is falling for or like hooking up with.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't necessarily want to, I don't think that she's like a villain. I just think that she's just, I guess I can see like the twisted toxicity of the romance.
Mm-hmm.
I view it more in that lens, but I do think it's fucked up that she tricked Lottie or Alice.
Yeah.
And into doing her dirty work for her. That was fucked up.
Yeah.
That was definitely not great.
Sabine is the villain, but obviously
I just think that Sabine, and like I was actually just talking, so ironically, my boss was like, we need to coordinate who gets what book on Book of the Month, because she's like, I got the same book you got.
Yeah.
And she just started it like recently, and she's like, I don't like Maria or Sabine. I was like, I don't think you're supposed to. I think the whole point of the book is that you are so aggravated with her and her actions. And like, it's just, she was kind of like a very like you said, like she was very controlling when she was human, and she had this whole plan of what her life was going to look like. And then obviously that didn't pan out. She kind of got into a situation where she was in a loveless marriage, and she was just being abused sexually just to like, because like even Andres was like, you don't deserve pleasure. Like, it's just, this is mainly just for me. Like, so it was everything that she thought her life was going to be didn't. And so she kind of had like this vengeful nature growing in her. So when she got turned into a vampire, I think it just amplified it. And then she just couldn't like come back from it. But I was hoping that when she met, I can't remember his name. The guy in Italy, the M vampire, the one that was with Alessandro.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name, but I was hoping that when she met him and started like that friendship with him, that she would kind of be led to like a different path. And clearly she did not. So, you know.
Yeah, I think my whole point is Lottie is not without fault. No. Because she did choose to use these women as pawns in this game.
Yeah.
And I don't blame her for it, but I did like that in the book we're meant to feel bad for her, and then that is kind of switched. Yeah. Before we get into more intense questions, what would be the hardest thing to give up as a vampire?
Food.
100%.
That was like a
food anymore?
Yeah, that was like a crazy indication of what happens. Like when you become a vampire, that you literally have to like regurgitate it back up. Like you cannot even stand to drink coffee or even water. Like nothing. And
these Charlotte and Sabine both missed cherries the most. Girl, what?
I don't even like cherries.
The fuck? But also, they definitely could have gone around this because they could drink stuff if it was mixed with blood. So can't you just bake some blood into your brownies?
Well, I don't think that they were that sophisticated quite yet in that sense. Because you have Sabine who thrives on the violence and the fear, so she would never, drink something that wasn't directly from the source. But like there was like how like Renata taught her, if you're the person you're killing ate something or drank something, you can taste it in their blood.
Like if they were drunk, then you get drunk.
Wine or
which is funny.
Yeah.
Okay, so my next few questions are straight from the interwebs.
Ooh.
So obviously there's these themes of control and on autonomy in the women, and we see this through different eras. So Maria's forced marriage and the whole attitude around her ability to bear children. And then you have Charlotte and the societal obligations and how she's also pretty much only existing to get married. And then we have Alice's battles with being seen and also being a woman in general and vulnerable. So the question is, does vampirism truly grant them power?
I guess it depends. Because I feel like with Sabine, yes, because I feel like, but I think she wanted that power. But I guess like it could go either way, I think.
Yeah, I agree that definitely with Sabine it does. I feel like with Charlotte it doesn't at all, because the whole point was that she wanted to be free, and then she is quite literally not free. I mean, she is in this oppressive relationship, basically an abusive relationship where, the highs are so high and the lows are so low, and then she finally escapes, but she's being hunted the whole time.
Yeah, it's not really freedom.
Yeah, and Alice doesn't have any freedom or any power because she didn't make this choice. She had no say in it whatsoever, and
her power was like ripped away from her.
Exactly. And it was taken when she was actually starting to get power. So we talked about this a little bit, but how do Sabine's choices evolve from Maria's awakening to Charlotte's transformation? Do you see her descent as an unveiling of her true self or a loss of morality over time? So you touched on this a little bit. I think it's definitely both. Like she was already manipulative and controlling.
But I think it got worse when she created Charlotte.
Yes, so being immortal definitely amplified those qualities. And you have to think, because the same thing happened with Charlotte, that when they were turned, they're basically frozen at that point in their life. Obviously, they gain knowledge and all this stuff, but they are... all of the issues they had with their own personalities, aka, Charlotte's emotion and Sabine's controlling attitude, like those are all stuck in stone. And then you combine Well, you have so many years of Sabine just killing, never really letting herself love another person. And then when she finally does have that with Charlotte, she doesn't even know how to have a relationship.
No, and I don't even know that I would necessarily call it love.
It was definitely not love for Sabine. It was definitely
it was just kind
control,
of
infatuation,
just obsession.
Mm-hmm. And then you combine that with her loss of kindness or accountability, mm-hmm. and it turned her into a monster.
Yeah, and I think that's also like why she was like losing her morality, because she didn't really have a good heart to begin with,
mm-hmm.
and she didn't really have any kindness or like any. She like couldn't even feel like sympathy or like guilt for anything that she was doing. Like she like she said multiple times in the book, like she thrived on the fear.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was her favorite part of the kill, was like feeling how like fucking terrified people were, you know. So like she didn't stand a chance in like even having. She was never going to be a good vampire.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, obviously, it's understandable that, you know, her life wasn't turning out the way she wanted it to, and she was being mistreated by Andres and his family, and you know, she wanted so badly out of her situation, and she was lonely and she needed a friend and all this stuff, but mm-hmm. because that was the mindset she was in when she was turned, there was no room for kindness, there was no room mm-hmm. for anything positive.
No.
How are the three women's journeys different? I think biggest differences are their motivations. So Charlotte and Sabine both became immortal for freedom, mm-hmm. but Sabine is also motivated by control, whereas mm-hmm. Charlotte is motivated by love. Mm-hmm. And Alice obviously has no motivations because it wasn't her choice, but her life is governed by grief. And afterwards, because of that, she's motivated by rage. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I think a lot of the reason we get so many flashbacks with Alice is because we don't get enough of her life as a vampire to connect with her or to understand her personality or any of that. So we have to get these flashbacks so that we can understand where she's coming from the way mm-hmm. that we understand Charlotte and Sabine.
I agree.
And so when you think of it as just her vampire life, it's literally just she's mad. And that's it.
Yeah. Her entire life was taken from her
mm-hmm.
without her permission.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she's now stuck. This changes her whole like life trajectory.
Yeah. And then after she finds out it was because of some stupid game, not even some real reason, like Lottie mm-hmm. really liked her, or you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that was like disappointing in a sense for Alice, because she like realizes, you know, you could tell that she had hoped that it had like a greater meaning, especially like with Lottie. Like she was upset about the situation, but you could tell she like was really into Lottie, even though it mm-hmm. was like a small moment in time. But it just sucks for her. Because mm-hmm. everything that she thought was going, you know, she was so happy in herself for finally like giving in to like temptation and doing something for herself. Mm-hmm. And like I said earlier, like it was literally like, well, this is what I get for like trying, you know, so I could understand like the rage.
She finds out after the fact that, you know, nothing she hears from Lottie she can never believe it, because she's like, oh, you could have coerced me to be interested in you. You could have, you know what I mean? Like there's nothing that she can trust.
And you could definitely tell that like Alice feels like Charlotte is kind of giving her a sob story, mm-hmm. which what she is. And I feel for Charlotte, because, you know, I feel like her story is almost the hardest out of the three, only because she finally feels like she's going to have that life of freedom, and it's like the complete opposite. And mm-hmm. now she's stuck in this toxic relationship with this woman for the rest of her vampire life, because she unintentionally made a promise that she didn't know was binding in that way, you know, Sabine, as we know, is like the most manipulative character I've ever read in my entire mm-hmm. life. And so I really felt for her, especially since she was such like a hopeless romantic and she just really wanted to give love and feel love. And anytime she had a glimmer of that, it got like ripped away from her. So it just, like, Sabine did it for selfish reasons. But I'm not surprised because she could give two fucks.
Yeah, and I think something that really gets overlooked just with everything going on in this book is that there is really that struggle with sexuality because Sabine takes what she wants. She don't give a fuck. She's like, I'm going to be who I'm going to be. But Charlotte
and also, but what's interesting too, was that like Sabine was never a receiver. She was always a giver. Mm-hmm. Because we have that point in time where Charlotte has that relationship with Giada, and she was like, I don't know what to do. Because Sabine just very much just took what she wanted. So like Sabine, I think, got her pleasure from giving, like giving pleasure to people.
She would never let like someone else. Yeah,
because even like when her first experience, like with Renata, like she realized, like she could understood like what pleasure was at that point, but she didn't need to be like touched to feel it. But yeah, like she just wanted like full control over the situation.
So Charlotte, I mean, we know that she got sent away because she kissed her best friend and her shitty brother found out about it, and then whatever. That's a whole, we couldn't get into it. But the point is that Charlotte is so scared of that coming out and so unsure of, you know, how she's going to be able to go through life knowing that she's not interested in men, that the idea of, you know, just marrying one basically as like a beard would, you know, it disgusts her, and they don't really dwell on it, but it is a huge part of that. Like Sabine makes Charlotte not only feel loved, but makes her feel like it's okay to love a woman, and, you know, basically makes her feel like, yes, it's okay to love a woman, but the only way that you'll be able to do it is to give up everything else and to like promise yourself to me for the rest of forever, you know? And it's so that's the price if you want to live authentically. And it's like, that is just so fucked up. And I don't know if it's necessarily explored enough as much as it could be or should be, maybe.
In the book?
In this book, yeah.
Yeah, but I also feel like I felt a lot of the time that she was trying to make a point in like these three separate timelines that even from the past, even to still the present time, like people's sexuality is still looked at in such like a negative way. And it's still so judged. You know, like she kind of, it just like there were brief moments where like I felt like as the reader, like you just get angry because it's like you should be able to love who you want to love without being scared of doing so. Or, you know, because there's that moment with Charlotte and Giada when they were in Italy and they like are kissing and the old guy walks by and he like makes a comment about it. And it's just like, you know, it just, that still happens. Obviously, look at the fucking world we're living in now with our current administration. But, you know, so it's like she's trying to show like these women are trying to live their sexuality and they're still being put in this corner and in this box, and it's not fair. And
I think we do see Charlotte take control of that, like by all of these women as
especially when she goes to America. I feel like she finally is able to like live a little bit more.
And so she becomes the leader in these relationships, and it is what she has learned from Sabine, and also you know what was taken from her by Sabine, but they do kind of switch roles like that. So I actually read a review of this book online that I loved, so I want to read a couple snippets from it. For the women in the earlier time frames, marriage is a weapon, a competition, an escape, a prison, and much more. I found the way the characters' lives as vampires contrasted with the conventions of marriage so interesting. End quote. So basically, when these women become these powerful vampires, they get to live the opposite of those confines of marriage. And, you know, the whole book is completely about hunger. Like it says it in the description. It's talked about on every single page, both literal with the bloodthirstiness and figurative, because the most important hunger is for freedom. And that's all these women want. And obviously the way marriage is portrayed in these earlier time frames is a prison. It is shackles. It is, you know, giving up every bit of your freedom. So even though they lose out on so much, we see when they become vampires, they ultimately got what they asked for. Charlotte didn't. She did from society.
Yeah.
But not from another person.
You know, she didn't read the fine print before
exactly.
she made her decision.
Well, that's what I hated the most about this book, that these vampires really don't ask permission. They just be changing people. They don't explain the pros and cons. One more snippet, because the reviewer was comparing Addie LaRue to this book. So this book is...
Yeah, I did see similarities.
Yeah. So this book is darker, less reassuring, more idiosyncratic. Fortunately or unfortunately, that tone feels ideally suited to the times we live in today. Some of the best feminist fiction doesn't stop at promoting women's rights, but allows us to revel cathartically in women's wrongs. In Schwab's capable hands, these wrongs feel oh so right. I feel like this is so perfect for us, not only because, you know, we do have to read all these books and talk about them in the lens of the times that we live in today, but also we have talked about this before, where just because you have these unlikable female characters, like you said, Sabine, you're not meant to like her, but you are meant to understand her, and you do understand why she is the way she is, and how, you know, yeah, she's the villain, but how painful her life was too, because she was lonely. And when she finally finds, you know, someone to share life with, and then she's not herself. And it is, you know, always at risk of being ripped from her or taken from her. And she's worried that Charlotte will leave her. And it's just, you understand her motivations. And this is the main reason I really like this book, because yes, these female characters are flawed and in ways super, super fucked up, but they are also complex and human, figuratively, not literally. And they're ruled by their desires instead of just their emotions. And, you know, so many times, especially when men write female characters, like they're so run by their emotions. They're so taken over by their emotions, and this is so much deeper than that. Like, they're not making emotional decisions. It's a much bigger scale. Like, those desires for freedom are not just right now. It's their personalities. It's, you know, it's the exact opposite. Like, their souls are literally rejecting that feeling of being caged, you know? And this is the kind of feminism I love, where it's not like thrown in your face like some of the other books we've read. And well, there are some very on the nose events, like where they're targeting these rapey guys, and Alice almost gets raped twice and ends up killing those men, like things like that. It is much more ingrained in their character arcs. And so it's kind of in your face, but also in between the lines. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I agree with that. But even like those moments in current time where, like you said, like Alice has those two instances where she gets, you know, she's preyed upon. And it's like, that's still so common. Like, it's just, you know, you just see it all the time. Like, men just think that they can do whatever they want with women and not have repercussions. Lo and behold, Love Island UK this season. And how the men are treating the women and thinking that they can just get away with it. And it's just disgusting that we still live in this society where men think that they can treat women that way and not have any repercussions. But God forbid a woman takes control of their life, and it's you have to stop that. Stop that. Don't have a brain. Don't have opinions. How dare?
How could you ever? And then the pendulum just swings so far in the opposite direction. There is no medium. There is no in the middle.
No. And especially with where everything is now, it's just everything's going backwards, which we've talked about multiple times.
All right. We could go on, but with that, let's get to our ratings. So our rating scale is Feral Roses.
Oh, that poem was cool. I really liked that. I really liked that.
I liked it too.
The elegance of it was just really. And I did. Did you do straight book or did you listen to the audio at all?
I did straight book.
So I did a mix of audio and book because I knew that I was not going to finish this book in time, which
it's a long one.
And so I would listen on my car rides. And so, which by the way, again, Julia Whalen, I'm obsessed with her. And so when she was doing the part of Hector and he like said the poem the first time, like it was just like really beautiful.
Yeah. The first time I read it, I was like, oh, okay. Because I didn't like fully understand it, but then the more they say it, it's like, I love it. And I also like that they mention so many times about the Midnight Soil. It's not just like a one thing, that she got the title from. Like they talk about the Midnight Soil all the time. Like even,
and which is like another reason too why I like the whole graveyard part, because it's like saying like that soil, that's what you grew out of, and once you step on it, it's gonna just pull you right back in.
And I was actually getting this confused with Addie LaRue because I just started listening to it with the whole like praying after dark.
Yeah.
But but I like that. So I in this said the word vampires a million times. They barely ever use that word. Like it comes up less than 10 times in the whole book, and they don't even really refer to each other. They just say like, oh, others like us or whatever. And when they do, they're like, oh, others who were buried in the midnight soil, or others who, you know what I mean? Like they refer to it like that. So it's a well-known thing through all vampires, and it's kind of like passed down through the vampire lore.
It's like less campy and more elegant.
Definitely. All right, so how many Feral Roses did you give this book?
Even though the ending was anticlimactic, I did give it 5 Feral Roses. Okay. It was just so good. Like it was, Addie LaRue was my first V.E. Schwab book. She's going to be like an auto buy for me. She just, the way that, but her books are thick. But like the way that like she tells a story, like now I understand from like your author blurb in the beginning. And I would not doubt that Addie LaRue took 10 years because I don't even know how far you were into it, but it's just such an intricate story. Like it's insane. It's insane how many intricacies and the depth of the storytelling is in that book. Like it's just like, it's just so good. And I felt that in this one as well. It was just the whole, especially how like the first half of the book is all Sabine / Maria, and then the whole back of the book is Charlotte. Whereas Al is interspersed into like both POVs, but once Charlotte is changed, you don't get Sabine's point of view anymore. Yeah, it's just like all Charlotte. So
because that's just like when Sabine's story is kind of ending, and Charlotte's
and so now you have to kind of look at Sabine through Charlotte's view lens, and I think that you don't even realize how manipulative and terrible she is until you see it from Charlotte's point of view.
100%.
Because when you're reading it just in Sabine, you're just seeing a vampire just trying to survive. Whereas now you're put in this scenario where she's taken away someone's freedom and is just killing children.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
There's a lot of children killing in this book.
Yeah. I mean, they don't go into details, which is good.
No. But it shows, like you said, like the loss of their like humanity and like morality, and they just can't necessarily control it to an extent. But no, it's just very well written. She can tell a damn story.
Yeah, I'm 3 hours and 45 minutes into Addie LaRue, which means I'm only 20%.
I know. It's like an 18-hour audiobook. Because I did the audio and it took me
I listen on 1.3 speed, so it'll take me a little less. But anyway, I gave this 4.5, which actually is pretty high because I have a lot of complaints, but I loved the writing. I loved the feminism that we talked about, where it's kind of like in so many different aspects. I didn't see the purpose of Caddy at all. I mean, we talked about what the purpose was, like, to get that part of Alice's personality.
Character, like, I felt that too, and I feel like she was kind of like, you know what? I lied. Caddy is the villain of this goddamn story. Because, you know, she the way that she treated Alice and
Elle.
You know, it's just, it was like really like fucked up, and it caused so much grief for Alice, and, you know, she just kept getting the short end of the stick.
Yeah. Also, the anticlimactic way in which two of the main characters, who we have been traveling along with for over 500 pages, but then, they're gone.
But was that the point?
I mean, yes, of course, because like after it happened and Sabine died, I was like, oh, because she either would have had to make it 100-page struggle or it had to be a half a page. Like, I get it, but I felt like it was disrespectful to their memory. Like, Sabine, as much of a villain as she is this fucking story. You know what I'm saying?
But then again, it's also like, this is of Sabine's own making.
Listen, I know, okay? I get it. No, I hate it.
No, I know. But like now, like, because this is just me. This just came to my mind now. I didn't even think about this until right now. I'm like, actually, the ending does kind of make sense, because if Sabine just didn't, you know, Sabine fucked around and found out. Basically,
I know that's right.
This is what happened. You
know,
know,
that's true. And like,
so like Lottie and Sabine are both to blame for their scenarios. You know,
and like after I finished it, at first I was pissed, and then I was like, oh, I get it. I see that she had to do it like that, but also I'm just like I literally paused and I was like, oh, wait, what? I was pissed. But other than that, I agree with you. I think it's super complex. It definitely has a slow start, but once it starts, like 100 pages in, I was like reading, I'm like, where the fuck are these vampires? And then once that starts, like we said, it's kind of nonstop. So basically, even though I had these big issues, it was still so good that I'm going to remember it. I'm going to keep thinking about it. It'll definitely be one that I recommend. I do think that I'm going to like Addie LaRue more, even though I'm very sad already with the whole concept of the book.
Yeah, I would rate Addie LaRue one higher than this.
Right. But, yeah, so yeah. I definitely like this.
And even if you don't like vampires, or you don't like that paranormal side of like genre book, this isn't even that.
Yeah, I was going to say like, this is not a horror novel whatsoever. Like, this is very much historical fiction with vampires and like their love story. It's not a romance. Certainly not a romance.
No, it's definitely not. It's like, it's just, I think that if I'm like fully transparent, I think that V. Schwab has created her own genre.
Well, and that's, if you read any of the blurbs, especially like Goodreads, Amazon, whatever, all of them say like, this is a genre bending book, because it really is. Like, I heard vampires and I was like, oh, I didn't realize that she writes horror, but I would never consider this horror. This is definitely, I mean, it is gothic, and in that way it is kind of horror, but it is really just fiction with a bunch of small elements which other genres.
I actually really like. I think that's kind of like that I can see that becoming like a new and upcoming kind of
I agree.
way.
I think it makes it difficult to maybe recommend it or describe it to people, because you can't say a vampire novel without them thinking it's some type of horror. You know what I mean? But I do think, I mean, it's definitely...
Like something like campy, you know, like Twilight. They're going to be like, oh, it's like Twilight, you know? And
Jesus
you're like,
Christ.
No.
I mean, it's definitely like sci-fi for sure.
Yeah.
But even that is not really enough. Like, Addie LaRue is obviously sci-fi too. So yeah, it definitely is its own genre, which I like. And I mean, I think it's going to do well because people love Addie LaRue. So
yeah,
good for her. And then maybe one day she'll be on a farm raising goats like she wants to be.
She gets her dream.
Good for her. Could never be me. Anyway, anything else we missed? I think we got it all. as usual. All right, that's all we have for you today. If you like what you heard, please make sure to follow, subscribe, and rate and review the podcast on whatever platform you're listening on. If you have any book recommendations or questions for us, you can email us at fullybookedcalfpod@gmail.com. Since this is our 100th episode, maybe we'll start getting some sponsors. Maybe to the next 100 episodes. Oh, Jesus Christ.
I was thinking that. I'm are we just going to be still podcasting books in our 40s? I mean, I'm here for it.
I mean, listen, we'll find the time where we can. There's enough books on our TBR that we will literally never stop.
No, until one of us dies.
Yes, which I did write my obituary. Anyway, besides the point. Also, be sure to follow us on TikTok and Instagram at fullybookedcalfpod to see our upcoming reads. Thanks for checking us out. And remember,
if you need us, we're fully booked.
Bye!
Bye!